Meet Ishaan Bharadwaj, also known as the Race Monkey, a motoring journalist who always tells it like it is. In a world where truth often takes a backseat, Ishaan drives his reviews with honesty and an engineer's eye for detail. Despite facing criticism from others in the industry, he doesn't shy away from giving genuine opinions about the cars he tests, ensuring everything from service to fuel is taken care of his own dime. With experience in motorsports from track driving to autocross and a bit of rallycross as well, Ishaan knows cars inside out, and he uses this knowledge to inform his readers. His journey is a tough one, battling against the tide of less straightforward journalism, but Ishaan remains committed. Join us to hear the real stories behind car reviews and the journalist who dares to stand alone for the truth.
Publications which do give out articles, and most of them have collectively the same opinion about, let's say, a particular product. And that comes out to be because this is the primary business for them, to have a good relationship with the OEM, with the manufacturer, and give out pieces of articles, pieces of reviews to the public. I'm not saying that every publication is doing the same. There are publications which do bring out the realities and the real picture of every product. But, and this is a big number, almost 90% don't. And it's a huge problem. And when someone like like someone like me, when I give out an article which is honest, which is brutal, which is to the point, and people do agree to it, these publications sort of give you a backlash because they don't agree to it. The manufacturers think that, this is not how it's supposed to be, because most of the focus goes towards this honest and brutal article.
So, Ishaan Bharadwaj, I think I'd like to start the conversation by saying there's a famous saying that the pen is mightier than the sword. But I think in your case, the pen is way mightier than the piston. So, are we up for a roasting session today or what?
There's going to be a lot of roasting, I guess.
Why do you say so?
I guess I have never been on a platform where, especially a podcast like this, where I really wanted to speak out loud about what's happening in the industry. And I think you would have some questions that would reveal the nitty-gritties of what's going on.
Oh, after we met the last time a few days ago, I do. Trust me, I do.
So yeah, I mean, it's been a fantastic time, and I am glad I'm here. We've done this before as well, but that was more about my personal experiences with cars.
आज हम गहराइयों में जाएंगे.
आज हम गहराइयों में जाएंगे. That's correct.
Yes.
It's going to be fun.
Now tell me one thing. What motivated you to be so bluntly honest, being in automotive journalism and a keen motorist with a motoring history and in motorsports? What motivated you to be so blunt about your reviews about machines?
Rather, it started off like the history of me writing about cars started off back in 2013 when I joined a very renowned publication, also a magazine that a lot of people know. And the idea that was portrayed to me in front of me by the chief editor back in the days was that you'll get a car, you'll just have to write a 2-piece article for our magazine, and you get to live with it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, however, and everything's paid for. And I was like, okay, I was a 21, 22-year-old boy, and it was a very fancy thing. So for a person who's driving a Hyundai i20, to be given very luxurious cars. My first car was a Mercedes-Benz W222 S500. And I got that car for 2 weeks. I did a piece for that magazine, and I was just flexing it everywhere. The fuel is paid for. I'm driving it around with beautiful women in the car. And for a man, it's a very, very good thing. And I was liking it. And after some time, I realized that the editors were overly editing my piece. I was giving it out as a very honest opinion about that car. There were good things, there were bad things, and since I came back from motorsport plus an engineering background, my outlook towards that car was very different than what a journalist generalizes. And henceforth, I liked that position of having these fancy cars for a short period of time. But after I realized that those articles were getting over-edited, I sort of detested that. I left one publication, went to another, same situation was there, moved to another, and this went on for good 4 years.
So how does it go? Like, I mean, does the editor like tell you that, you know what, after you're done with the shoot, we will make some changes and we'll not tell you, or do they are like, okay, we'll keep the intent exactly as how you had shot. It's just that we will change a bit of wording, so to say.
They do that. See, for any publication, it is it's like an outright advertisement that they give for that brand, and no publication wants a bad reputation or a bad relationship with any manufacturer, any OEM, so as to say. And to maintain that, they neutralize the words significantly, I would say. And that had happened. And although my initial experiences were not very brutal, but as I grew up and as I penetrated deeper into the industry and I worked with many more publications, many more renowned publications, is when I realized that this is not going anywhere. And henceforth, when I left all these renowned publications, these media houses, is when I started off the Race Monkey. The intention was pretty much straightforward. And this also came to happen because I had written an article in this website, an automotive website, and my father wrote, my father read it. And he came to me one night and said, Ishaan, I don't think so this is what you've written, because before editing, you give the articles to me for proofreading, and this is completely different from what you've written. And that made me not sleep for the night. And another. I guess for 3 nights, I was constantly thinking about it. I was like, he's right. And suddenly, out of nowhere, there was this video on BBC that was on YouTube that I saw of Jeremy Clarkson. And he bluntly said that, you know, a car is the second most expensive thing anyone buys. And you should not lie about it. And that hit me really hard. And I was like, gosh, okay. This is actually something that should be done, which is not being done in the industry. And this is perhaps the change that I want to happen in this industry, because it does end up being the reason why the quality of cars that we get is either bad or good.
But tell me one thing, like last time Abhi, when we met a few days ago, you were mentioning about, and you can be brutally honest here, to be very frank with you, that there are some different kinds of pressures that you're having to experience. You're at the receiving end from the other media houses because of how you put things across to the audience about cars. Being an enthusiast, in all our hearts, in all your heart also, you can just not lie about cars.
Of course.
So what is that pressure like? You know, what kind of pressures are you receiving?
See, there are these big publications which do give out articles, and most of them have collectively the same opinion about, let's say, a particular product. And that comes out to be because this is the primary business for them, to have a good relationship with the OEM, with the manufacturer, and give out pieces of articles, pieces of reviews to the public. I'm not saying that every publication is doing the same. There are publications which do bring out the realities and the real picture of every product. But, and this is a big number, almost 90% don't. And it's a huge problem. And when someone like someone like me, when I give out an article which is honest, which is brutal, which is to the point, and people do agree to it, these publications sort of give you a backlash, because they don't agree to it. The manufacturers think that, this is not how it's supposed to be, because most of the focus goes towards this honest and brutal article. And they start questioning, and their business gets hampered. Of course, at the end of the day, it's a business for them. It's not something that they're doing out of passion, out of commitment to improving the industry. Perhaps they might be doing, but I feel that it's more of a money-making exercise than a morally inclusive project for them.
What do you think is, I mean, how do you think the British media, and why I'm asking about the British media, because I personally watch a lot of this Chris Harris and Carwow. Okay, yeah, Carwow is also there.
Yeah.
But then there was Top Gear, and versus the Indian motoring journalists like Autocar, Overdrive, Power Drift. What do you think is the fundamental difference in both these countries in terms of automotive journalism?
That's a very good question, Aradhya. See, I have always advocated that we have to be honest, and most of these automotive journalists are backed by very strong media houses. And these media houses run on the fundamentals of telling the truth. They're not advertising agencies. Now, since you mentioned Chris Harris, he is one of the most controversial
I love that guy.
auto journalists in the world. And I would just mention a single piece that he did with a Rolls-Royce Cullinan. And he got the car, he drove it, and he said, quote unquote, "This is the most brilliant car for the most tasteless people in the world that exist in abundance in the world." And he ends the video by taking out a cycle out of the boot of the Cullinan, which is like a legendary classic cycle with small wheels and a tall structure. And he takes it out, unfolds it and rides it, locks the car and just rides away. And he's like, "This is proper British engineering. That is a tasteless thing." And that sort of tells in volumes that, they are super honest about their work. Jeremy Clarkson, again, he's called the king of controversy for no reason, because in one of his pieces back in 99 or 98, he reviewed the Vauxhall Astra, or Vauxhall Vectra, I guess. And he did that video for about 5 minutes, and he said nothing about the car. And at the end, he ended the review by saying, "The verdict for this car is something that I cannot give because this is a piece of turd." And because of that review, Vauxhall's factory in UK got shut down within 4 months' time, and 3,500 people lost their jobs. It's historical. And that's why a country like United Kingdom, which is now economically behind India, enjoys better quality cars than we do. It's not that their per capita income is high, it's just that the way everything is portrayed to the consumers is very honest, it's very brutal, and henceforth the manufacturers are pressurized to give good quality products to the consumers. It's a completely different story over here in India. Because here the publications run by the virtues and run by the support of all these OEMs. And that's why they are the spokesperson of the OEMs and not the public. Something that I'm trying to change.
Sure. So tell me one thing, how does striving to maintain your integrity with your reviews, gain or affect, should I say not gain or lose, but affect your popularity in the automotive community?
Can you repeat that question? Sorry.
So how does, you have a certain integrity, right, in your reviews and in all your videos about being brutally honest. How does that affect your popularity amongst the car community, amongst the people who are watching you?
See, integrity is something which has gotten me popular. I would not say very popular, but the kind of popularity that it held within the community was very healthy. I feel people do welcome this very respectfully, that there is someone who's speaking out loud and clear and brutally in the face of all the manufacturers that, this is the reality of every product. that has been received really well. Initially, I thought there would be a backlash because most of these people do follow all these popular publications, and there is a huge and blind fan following for them.
Honestly, I don't think, general people, yes, but I don't think any of us enthusiasts even think of watching videos by Overdrive and Autocar. I mean, I can say it openly because,
There is a section of people that do. And not that I don't respect them, they have their own way of communicating it to the public. But I feel being honest does resonate with people because that is what most of the enthusiasts see in what happens in Europe, what happens in the US.
Of course.
Because most of these journalists across the ocean, they are brutal. They literally thrash the car to the T where they are able to extract the reality and show it to the public. That's what's not happening in India. And when you do something like that and showcase it to the Indian public and say, boss, this is a product that has been manufactured, it's been launched, you might be showcased that, this is what it is, but this is the reality. And people do accept it with open arms. Initially, it was very tough for me with the lesser number of people who've been following me to convince them, this is how it is. But as we gained popularity, I guess that respect that was there, because of the integrity and because of my honesty was much welcomed, and I highly appreciate that.
And honestly, I think, I've watched almost all the videos that you've been putting up on YouTube, and I must say one thing that something I could resonate with, and I'm sure a gazillion other enthusiasts resonate with, and who clearly do not resonate with the others, the automotive journalists, is that, I'll give you an example. I still remember, about, I think, 8-9 years, I picked up the Endeavour 3.2, and now I picked up the Wrangler. So I remember watching the reviews on one of these journalism pages, probably Autocar or Overdrive, one of them. Power Drift this time tha bhi nahi. So I still remember them saying that although the engine has a lot of torque and power, but the gear shifts are sluggish. The car feels sluggish on road and this and that.
You're talking about the Endeavour?
Yeah, Endeavour. And then talk about the Wrangler. I saw a bunch of people reviewing the Wrangler, and they're like, it's not really roadworthy and this and that. Nobody really spoke about, I have a completely different opinion about both these machines. Once, sort of my mind read how these shifts are happening, let's say the gearbox shifts are happening, my driving style automatically adapted. And I think it's way more fun to drive this thing as compared to any other car, because cars these days, they are so accurate, such fast shifting cars, just they don't feel like cars anymore. This still feels like a bloody car to drive, but they don't talk about that.
See, there's a difference between a journalist who comes from a background of automotive in general and a journalist who's just received a degree in journalism and is there to generalize facts and present it to the public in a very fancy voice, in a very beautiful, with very beautiful gestures in the video, or, write very, Oxford-worthy words on their magazines or newspapers. The enthusiast section would be able to dissect each and every element in the car, showcase it to the public, and make more sense of it. It's like giving a race car to someone who's there to bake pizzas, right? If you go to Pizza Hut and you ask them, "Meko parantha bana do ek." Of course they won't be able to do it. You go to Gulshan Dhaba and you say, "I want to have the best Neapolitan pizza." Bolege, hai? So it's the same situation over here, that there are people who've come to this industry thinking that we will just make fantastic videos, and they have no automotive background. They're not like, for you and I, we are from the motorsport background. I've been a mechanical engineer myself. I worked with OEMs during my engineering, and that sort of an outlook helps me make a more clearer review. I can be more critical about each and every element in the car. And that sort of differentiates us, the kind of, I guess that's only 5% of the people in this industry who really do that. Us to the rest of the journalists.
And I think Chris Harris is also a fine example of that, because I personally feel like the third category, as you said, is enthusiasts and people who really spend time motoring.
Of course.
They have done years and years and years of hard and soft motoring at different levels. And you being a mechanical engineer, I'm not sure, mechanical engineer and an enthusiast and a motorsport background, we feel these machines. People like you, people like Chris Harris, and there are so many other people. And probably even this gentleman, Haggerty.
Oh yeah.
I feel these
Jason
people,
Kamisa.
they really, what's his name again?
Jason Kamisa.
Jason. I think you guys completely feel these machines, and you just, I mean, it might be feeling so bad about when it comes to, having to lie about these machines.
And honestly speaking, there is a section of people who are these enthusiasts, who have that sort of credibility, who have been very, very professional in their careers. They've been from the motorsport background as well. And they still are reduced to speaking the words of what the manufacturer wants them to speak. So that's that section of people as well. And, it's just sad that this is happening. And most of these reviews end up being pieces of the marketing teams and sales teams of every OEM.
How do you think, I mean, I've observed one thing, that you take a lot of these cars for long-term reviews also.
Yeah.
So, how do you think that has impacted your reviews on cars as against other people who, I'm not sure if they even take for long terms, but I know for a fact that you do. But how do you think that has affected your reviews?
I guess almost 50% of the cars that I get come for long term. It's just like marrying a wife or having a long-term girlfriend. Initially, you feel that they're very pretty, they look very fit, they have a lot of good features, their voice is very nice. But when you start sleeping with them or start living with them, start cooking food with them, you start washing each other's clothes.
Parental advisory.
Yeah, we are adults. But once you start living under the same roof, going through the same situations together, is when you understand and realize how and where you stand in the reality. And hence, that is what the motive is when we have long-term cars as well, because most of these cars, which are very popular amongst the consumers, initially in the first few days might feel very fancy. There are a lot of rainbows and butterflies about those products, but we don't understand how brutal are the compromises as well when it comes to ownership. So when I take cars on long-term, I pay for the service myself.
Okay.
Because if I end up sending the bills to the OEM, I'm entitled to say their words again, because you're using the car and so happens.
And what's happening on this front, with other media houses, motoring media houses?
I guess they get paid for. I mean, everything is paid for with. This is something that I don't want to have. I mean, I had not planned to reveal, but of course, every bill gets paid for. Fuel bills get paid. I guess the longest that I've had a car was a Nissan Magnite, if you remember, the brown colored one.
What, 1 year?
I had it for 2.5 years. And I guess I got that...
Only for reviewing purposes.
Only for reviewing purpose. I guess I constantly started calling Nissan and I told them, boss, you should take your car back. Like, I don't know. Okay, let's Yeah, and I drove that car 48,000 kilometers. No one in the history of Indian automotive industry has done 48,000 kilometers on a press car. I took it to Spiti, I took it to Ladakh, I took it to Pune, I took it to West Bengal. That car had done so many road trips. I took my family with in that car. That car was my daily driver. I mean, I've done everything with that car. And initially, there were a lot of reviews, on magazines and newspapers, on YouTube, saying that, oh, this car is bad in quality, Fara Dimkana. And when I experienced that car, initially I had the same perspective, because that short-term perspective is what you have. And most of them are common, because what you see is what you feel. But when you start living with that car, when you start growing through the problems, growing through the good part about it, is when you're able to present a more honest opinion about it, a more owner perspective based or outlook towards it. And that's what happened. And now our parameters are such, even if we have a car for, let's say, short term, let's say we have a week with that car, my minimum kilometer requirement is 1,000 kilometers to make an opinion on it. So I tell the manufacturer straight up, if you have a cap on number of kilometers that I can do with this car, please take it back. Because I don't think so I'll be able to make a very honest opinion about it.
But I think cap भी अगर होगा तो वो तो इसी चीज की वजह से होगा कि considering they must be assuming कि सारे के सारे खर्चे वो लोग देंगे and all that stuff. But the moment you tell them that the service is going to be on me, fuel is I'm assuming on you, or
it's on me.
It's on you. So then I'm sure they don't have an issue if you're paying for the service and fuel.
The only people who have issues are my parents, because when they see the bills stacking up, fuel bills, hotel bills. I keep traveling with those cars. Like, yeah. So, I mean, this is not the primary source of income for me. But when they see most of the money that I make out of businesses going into, the race monkey and paying for the fuel bills, paying for tolls, paying for all the hotels that I keep taking, they're like, boss, why are you doing this? But then at the end of the day, I'm like, chalo, theek hai. It's something that's keeping me alive. I would say I wake up 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning most of the times when I have to shoot cars. And for any parent, seeing their son or daughter waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go out and work is, it's rainbows painted in front of them. Boss, kya baat hai? Suraj kahan se ugaya is baar?
And I think quite literally, आप तू घर भी संभाल रहा है, kitchen भी संभाल रहा है. And I think that's why I think they're also a little, quite supportive of whatever.
And this is the reason why, again, coming back to the brutality and the honesty and the integrity that we've created is happening, because, see, this is not the primary source of income for me.
Sure.
This is something that I'm doing out of passion. I started it out. It was not something that I wanted to do. It was not my choice. I was presented it by a few publications, but as I moved further through the years working in the industry, it became a motive for me that there has to be someone who should change the way the industry functions.
So I think you should be grateful to them.
Yeah,
the industry.
Of course. All the backlashes, all the the things that we went through as a publication, as a website, as me as a journalist, has helped me create a more stronger outlook towards the vision that I have. Because the cleanup needs to happen.